All right, hey guys, Jerry from Showtime Audio. So we have this beautiful 2024 John Cooper Works Mini Cooper convertible, and we're doing a system in it. This car has bass audio, and we're gonna show you why that's bad, very bad, especially for a convertible. Just wanted to first show you the amount of disassembly and the amount of stuff that is in even a car as little as this. I mean, it's a Mini Cooper. It's a 4-seater, but it's in essence a 2-seater, right? So unless you have no kneecaps, you really can't sit in the back seat. So we're changing out all the speakers, adding a DSP amplifier, and obviously just tuning it and putting it all back together. But here, let me walk you through it. The Mini Coopers are basically just like the BMW platform. It has a 4-inch woofer, and then it has 4-inch in the rear. That's the extent of this system. Now, this is the bass audio system, but just wanted to show you. So obviously, you have to remove the doors in order to swap out the speakers. You have to remove the seats in order to swap out the subs. You have to remove the rear seats, quarter panels, everything, just to be able to swap out the rear speakers themselves. In this particular car, we also disassembled the radio because we need to get to the signal in order to be able to check it. You see how small this car is, right? That entire rack, door panels, rear quarter, so seats, door panel, all the speakers, door panel, rear left and right quarter, the rear seats, plus the rack over there is all the gear, all the factory parts that belong to this car. And so tagging everything is really important because obviously there's a ton of disassembly and you're not gonna remember where everything goes. So this is why we bag and tag everything with the speaker or with the panel that it belongs to. So this way we don't have any extra screws and we're not missing any screws, right? But just to show you, so on this particular car, it's bass audio. So this is the front left speaker. Now, one of the things to notice is there's no tweeter. So in this vehicle, because it's a bass audio system, there is no tweeter. This is the mid, and it at the very least should have like a small paper cone tweeter here that would give you a little bit of highs. But the reason the car sounds so muffled is because there technically is no tweeter in the car. Every one of these speakers, if you look at them, whether they're front, so this is rear right, rear left, front right, front left, they're all mid-range drivers. There's no tweeter. So now, will it play? To a certain level, yes, but you will not get any of those high frequencies. So if you ever wonder why it sounds so muffled and you can't hear any of the detail or any of the, any of that really bright, crisp sound, there you go. Now, the other problem. So this is the woofer, right? This is supposed to be an 8-inch driver. But again, because it's a base model, they cheated. So it's using an 8-inch mounting flange, but then it's just a 6.5-inch woofer. So it is horrible, right? Like basically there's very little mid bass. This is what's creating your mid bass. And because it's so small and underpowered, it creates almost no mid bass. Now, the other thing that gets even crazier on this vehicle is they're technically running it off of 4 channels. So there's 6 speakers and we're only running 4 channels. 2 channels run the rear speakers and the other 2 channels run the door and the mid-bass driver, which is insane because no matter what, obviously you can see there's a size difference, right? And you can see, look at what's wild. Look at the motor structure on this 4-inch driver, right? See that? Look at the motor structure on this 6.5-inch woofer. I mean, they are almost the same. So, and they're splitting the power. So you're getting, in essence, half the power to this and half the power to this, but also that limits the frequency response that you can send, the amount of the information or the music that you can send to each of these. So you're kind of splitting the difference. You can't send it super low bass because you'll blow this thing up, even though you can they have a capacitor or something to limit the low frequencies. And then you can't send a ton of power because then you're gonna blow this thing up. So it's just a horrible, so basically that's the reason the car has no highs and no mid bass. So it's all middle. Now, Most people like a warm, full sound, where in other words, it's kind of, there's some middle, but then there's high for the detail and the clarity and the high end, and then a little bit of low to give it that fullness, that emotion, that feeling. So you want this smiley face, for lack of a better word. It's kind of a smiley face. If you looked at the EQ, it looks like that. And that's what sounds good to the ear. Now, right now, it's the opposite. It's in essence a frown. It is literally an upside down smiley face, right? So you have a ton of middle, very little highs, and very little bass. So we do not like that, right? Just like a frown. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna swap out all the gear. We're gonna put in the DSP amplifier. We're gonna separate the channels. We're gonna add tweeters. So we're gonna add tweeters to the rear, to the coaxes, and then we're gonna add tweeters up front. We're actually gonna put tweeters in the A-pillars. Only the Harman Kardon version has tweeters in it. This version does not. So we're gonna add all that stuff in. We're gonna use T-harnesses. So we're running the Morel speakers, which are basic plug and play speakers. They're made for this car. They're amazing speakers. They drop right in, bolt in, sound fantastic, right? We're using an amplifier with a dedicated harness that also plugs in. We still have to run some wiring and set it up, tune it, a lot of stuff. Again, plug and play after a ton of work, right? It's plug and play, but it should sound amazing. And it's not very hard to do because the bar is so low. I mean, literally, the bar is so low that all you have to do would be, part of the deal would be just adding the right speakers, But we always tell you to go for amplification first. So you always want power and control first. If you have to choose between amps and speakers, I would choose the amp with the DSP. So you want power with some control, because that'll allow us to get more or get the most we can out of the speakers that are in the vehicle. Now, we still will have limitations, because if there aren't any physical tweeters, we can't play something that if we have nothing to play it. So this is where sometimes it's like, okay, you can get away with it with, an amp, more power and control. But if you're physically missing the drivers, the speakers, then you can't do it. So just, it's something to keep in mind. A lot of times you'll hear people say, oh no, you have to do this, you have to do that, you should do this, you should use this. Yes, but it depends on the application. It depends on the car, and it depends on the situation. Yes, they're rules of thumb, but they're rules of thumb for a reason. They don't always apply, right? You need to be conscious of that and know what you're getting into. That's why a lot of times we like to take the vehicle apart first and figure out what's right. Because if we just sold you a bunch of stuff and then we take the vehicle apart and realize none of the stuff is right, that's bad. And then we're like, well, that's what we sold them, put it in. It's like, no, if we take the vehicle apart and figure out that we missed something, or we didn't think of something, or BMW or Mini changed something, then we adjust for that, because we want the client to have the best possible experience.
Visit our website at showtimeaudiochicago.com.